Hey, I'm Red, and today I'm going to show you how to take that arpeggiated guitar sound that LITTY by YSL fit DABABY has and use it to make better beats of your own. I'll also give you some free loops if you stick to the end. With that said, let's begin. Okay, the first thing I want to show you before you decide if you want to take my advice on this is the final melody I came up with using the simple step shown later in this video. If you like the melody, then stick around because I got a bunch of tips for you. And if not, well, maybe you'd be more interested in learning how to make a dark melody like Solid by YSL feat Drake. Anyways, here's the final melody. LITTY's melody has one main element, and that is the arpeggiated guitar. So let's break it down. For the sound selection on this part, I will be using the nylon guitar preset on Omnisphere, but if you want a free alternative, I recommend the DSK dynamic guitars. This beat was made at 170 BPM, by the way. Step 1. Which note should I use? When it comes to arpeggiated beats in this style, usually the first thing you want to keep in mind is that you're going to be arpeggiating the notes, not playing simply random ones. You need a bass, so to start, first let's choose those chords. First we need a scale. And for guitar trap beats, you know the bass scale is a harmonic minor scale, so let's add that. Now, usually here we would add a third or fourth chord progression, but if you listen to LITTY, it pretty much repeats the same two chords over and over again. So to make it as repetitive as possible, I'm going to be using only one chord. So let's put the root note in our tonic note, which means the first note of the scale. If you have only a one chord progression, I recommend doing the same. Otherwise, your 808s will sound kind of weird when you put them. Now, skip one note of the scale and add a note here. Skip one and add one here. Done. Now that's our chord. Now, you know that when you play chords in a real guitar, you don't actually play them like this. So this wouldn't sound realistic. What we need to do is this. Highlight our third and bring it up one octave. And now copy and paste the root note one octave higher. And done. This is more realistic. Now simply arpeggiate those chords from lowest to highest, like this. Now, I'm going to use our two notes to add a little more movement to this progression. I'm going to use them like this because otherwise the second bar would feel too empty. And to make this less boring, I'm going to add some more notes on top. Basically, the important part here is this. This three-step movement adds a lot to a simple guitar progression. You can hear it on melodies like Rapstar by Polo G or Bandit by Juice WRLD. Now I'm going to play those exact same notes in my real acoustic guitar. To make it sound more realistic, I will add some RC20 and chorus to it. This is what it sounded like before the effects. This is what it sounds like now. Now this is done, but we still need more stuff to make this sound less repetitive. The first thing we want to add is a flute. Guitar and flutes work great together, so you can't really go wrong with the flute. I don't want, however, to make the flute too complicated, because in this type of beats we want to give the artist as much creative freedom as possible, which means that we want to give him a lot of space. And if your flute is all over the place, then the artist won't have as much space. So I'll simply add these two notes in the first bar and let it slowly decay. Perfect. Now for the last touch, I'm going to add this 2-octave ukulele progression. These are simply the notes from our first guitar chord. On the second half, the same notes are played but 1 octave higher. This will give the progression the illusion of movement, even though we are just using the exact same chords. This is another trick to help a repetitive melody gain some movement. And done! Now simply add a halftime effect in the intro. This will help make your drop sound better. Remember to also add a sub bass along with the halftime effect, otherwise it would sound too thin. And for the drums, I want to add something much less generic. I'm going to add rims on 2 and 4. Along with this, a very spacious hi-hat progression. Not adding hi-hats on every step works very well on spacious beats. And lastly, this 808 and kick progression. If you look closely, you'll see that I'm using the same trick we use on the ukulele. These are the same notes, just being played 1 octave lower. Now simply add some transition effects and lay the beat however you want, and I'm done! That's how to make a repetitive guitar melody like LITTY by YSL. Before I play you the final beat, if you want to download the melody loop I made in this video, there's a free download link in the description. It's royalty free, so you can use it however you want. I make 2 beat breakdowns a week, so if you want more of this, subscribe, and as always, see ya.